Hey there, it's Stephanie Shea, the astrologer with janspiller.com, here with your July 2025 astrological overview. We've got some big headlines this month, including Mercury retrograde, Jupiter in a square to Saturn, Uranus moving into Gemini, and the full moon in Capricorn. What does this all mean for you? Let's dive in and find out. This month has a lot of motivating energies. It's going to really demand our self-reliance and ability to determine the best time to take action. Some patience will be required. As I mentioned, Mercury will station retrograde on July 18th, signaling a time to slow down and address unfinished business. Let's dive in first, though, with the big sign change involving Uranus. Now, Uranus only changes signs every 7 years, so it is a pretty big deal. It's moving out of the sign of Taurus on July 7th. It enters the sign of Gemini for the first time since 1941. And we're going to experience a taste of what this will feel like between July 7th and November 6th. After November 6th, Uranus retrogrades back into the sign of Taurus, and it won't re-enter Gemini until April 25th of 2026. And at that point, it's going to stay in Gemini through 2033. So I like to call the period coming up between July 7th and November 6th the sneak preview of this Uranus in Gemini energy. While Uranus is in Gemini, the focus is going to be on communications, learning, and teaching. There's a revolutionary energy implying we're in for a lot of new developments, especially in the areas of technology and media. These are things that could change the world, even more so than what we have available. We may also see travel changing with the inventive influence of Uranus and Gemini, bringing out new modes of transportation. Faster planes or trains are a possibility, or maybe more efficient personal vehicles being manufactured. There's going to be a big theme of freedom that goes with Uranus and Gemini, people connecting more easily with each other more than ever before. Organized protest and rebellion against the status quo is likely to increase. Uranus and the sign of Gemini are known for moving quickly, and it could be difficult to keep up with changing world events. Communications from governments or media outlets could continue to be scattered, and we may be dealing with yet more conflicting information as we move into this new astrological energy. So we need to keep aware, double check the facts, don't jump to conclusions or assume everything you read on the internet is true. Now, in our personal lives, we can use the power of this astrology to free ourselves from limitations that have been self-imposed or inflicted upon us by others. We could feel unsure about which direction to go at first and find ourselves learning the most through trial and error. This is going to be a time in our lives when we might have mind-opening conversations that help us to understand the world through the eyes of another. So there really is a lot of potential with this fresh astrology coming at us right as the month starts. Now, both Saturn and Neptune are stationing retrograde this month in the sign of Aries, and they're traveling quite closely together in those very early degrees of Aries. Now, when the outer planets station retrograde, we don't really feel it on a daily basis. But over the coming months, we might sense that our inner dreams are calling. Neptune is stationing retrograde July 4th, initiating a cycle that will last until December 10th. So, heads up, there's a foggy energy present for a few days around Neptune's station retrograde or direct. So, it's really best to avoid important decisions during these days around July 4th and use the time to do some visioning without mapping out the exact details just yet. In the coming months, our intuition and spiritual connections will strengthen, making it an ideal time to pursue a dream, particularly if it involves improving the lives of others. There's a lot of idealism in the present as a theme with the planet Neptune. As the month continues, we'll need to prioritize our time and determine what we need to do to reach our goals. We've got Saturn, the planet of commitment, going retrograde. This may help us all realize that we are the only ones who can keep ourselves accountable. Use the days between July 13th and November 27th while Saturn is retrograde to get organized and keep the promises you've made to yourself. Now, on a global scale, we may see more people taking charge rather than waiting for authority figures to take action. For example, more meaningful or effective charitable efforts may come from the populace rather than from an organization during this time. In general, people will be called to initiate the change that they wish to see in the world. So when you think about Saturn in these early degrees of Aries, you can think of practical action. But when it's in a retrograde position, we're the ones that have to look within and determine what we're going to need to achieve these goals. There's less outside assistance available, but we can gain a lot of clarity at this time. We've got a full moon this month at July 10th at 18 degrees of Capricorn. Because this full moon occurs in Capricorn, the emotional energy stirred in the atmosphere is going to feel a bit cool and calculating. Our emotions may run from one extreme to the other as we oscillate between feeling disconnected and overly dramatic. And that's because the sun opposing the moon is in the sign of Cancer, which is very emotional. It's a water sign. When it's opposing this earthy, practical Capricorn moon, we may kind of feel the tension between those two energies. So, a practical awareness of how current circumstances may not be supporting the security we need for our plans for the future will be present. We'll become aware of limitations in our life that bind us through decisions based on family and a sense of protective emotional dependency. Think about that for a minute. The full moon energy may cause people to overreact emotionally if they're not getting their way. Control over our future can be a strong theme. Consider what adjustments are needed to create an atmosphere of mutual respect and support in relationships. All right, now we're ready to dive into this Mercury retrograde. It's stationing retrograde in the sign of Leo, July 18th, initiating a cycle that lasts until August 11th. So only a few weeks. During these days, take a step back, review our past actions. It's a very productive time to finish creative projects, rework or revise presentations, and remember the things that brought us joy in our younger years. There's a youthful spirit to Mercury in Leo that wants us to go back and enjoy some of the things we did as a kid that we maybe think we're too old for now. But actually, why not? Maybe we need to slide down a slide once in a while. We could have romantic partners resurface since Leo is also a sign representing romance. And it could be a good time to gain closure. I would avoid making future plans with any new, current, or former partners and just live in the moment. We are probably going to be releasing a part of our past this month. That's going to enable us to then clearly decide how we want to move forward. Now, as we enter July, Venus will be in Taurus, promoting comfort and the enjoyment of life. During the first few days of the month, we might not feel motivated to return every message or take immediate action on our ideas. There's kind of a slow, comfortable vibe coming from Venus and Taurus. So I would use the first 3 days of July to get extra rest. And remember, right around that time, July 4th, Neptune's going to be stationing retrograde. So we also may feel a little more foggy or sleepy. It's really a good time to plan some calculated downtime if possible. Our schedules are likely to get more busy as the month progresses, even though we're going to experience Mercury retrograde during the second half of the month. it might be busier than we would like, and we're going to need to manage our time and energy so we don't burn out. Um, Now, it's a great month to follow our curiosity and learn new things. We're going to see on July 4th Venus moving into Gemini, and this will be an energetic shift. It's going to start speeding up the pace and encouraging social interactions. For the rest of the month, we're probably going to want to get out and about, although we may feel a bit undecided between various activities that we'd like to do. When it comes to romance, the time before Mercury retrograde, say between about July 5th or 6th, after we come out of that Neptune station fog, all the way up until around right before Mercury goes retrograde, you it could be favorable. But just know it's going to be better to keep things light with anyone new who comes into our lives. Books, classes, lectures, enlightening conversations. This is what's going to help us feel fulfilled and energized about life for most of this month while Venus is in Gemini. The more we can mix it up with people from different backgrounds and viewpoints, the better. Instead of committing to one idea or method of problem solving, I would encourage you to explore your possibilities. Now, all month long, Mars is moving through the steady sign of Virgo. This is helping us to stick to our routines and stay on task. There could be some distracting astrological energies at play this month, but we can harness the power of Mars and Virgo to make sure we get important jobs done. Under this astrology, there will be a focus on our daily work as well as our health. So, those who have been seeking motivation to start a new health regimen, this is a great month, especially if you start in the first half. Because remember, it's harder to get new habits to stick during Mercury retrograde. But Mars in Virgo has a lot of stick-to-itiveness. So if you get going in the first part of the July, you might be able to just follow through with the plan you set up for yourself as we move through the retrograde period. Because Mars rules how we express anger, we could find ourselves becoming critical of others when we're feeling angry over hurt feelings. We'll need to detach from heated situations and regain the perspective that most people are doing the best they can with the skills that they have. I want to be sure I cover Jupiter's square to Saturn. This is concluding a cycle that began in July of last year. The tension between the expansive nature of Jupiter and the limiting influence of Saturn can be felt as these planets square off for the third time since last July. Result of this tension could be extreme fluctuations in the stock market, as we did during the squares of July 2024 and December 2024. Questions around the law and its interpretations will figure prominently. We've already been seeing that so much. I think this month Jupiter is squaring Neptune, which is currently at a similar degree to Saturn. So this means our ideals are being tested. And as certain visions are becoming a reality, it might become really apparent where we've been over idealistic in our thinking. And we'll need to adjust our course so that we can have a more streamlined, focused approach. Take things in bite-sized chunks would be the advice for this astrology. It can be really tempting to try to shoot for the moon, but I think it's a longer road when it comes to some of these changes that we're looking for, especially on larger social scale. So we'll close out with the new moon on July 24th. It's a Leo new moon. It's 2 degrees Leo. And so if you were born on or around July 24th, you've got a lot of new beginnings in store ahead. Even though this new moon is occurring during Mercury retrograde, it's still really important to write down things that you'd like to manifest in your life at every new moon. And just realize you may go back and review this list next month and make some adjustments to it. Take your time this month compiling your wish list. Check out how you feel about it before you decide whether or not to keep it on the paper. If you want more tips about wishing at the new moon, I highly recommend Jan Spiller's book, New Moon Astrology. It will give you all of the rules of the road. It's available through Jan's website. In general, it's a great new moon to set intentions in the areas of life ruled by Leo, which includes fun, creativity, recreation, romance, generosity, children, self-confidence. These are all topics that you can address in your own life and decide where you want the energy to be boosted. Jan just says, you have to wish for things that you can control. Unfortunately, we cannot wish what other people do. If we could, the world would be a very different place. But if we focus on what we have the power to do and change within ourselves, you can get remarkable results from new moon wishing practices the way Jan advises. So I hope you can make use of this astrology and have a wonderful month ahead. And I look forward to getting back to you with your August forecast. Have a great July, everybody.